Brisbane in tropical North Queensland. Welcome to Mackay for round 2 of the Penrite ProMX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. I'm Lee Hogan alongside former motocross and supercross star
Moving into the 450s, the pre-races, he was very, very fast. Sand is his absolute domain. He was fast, he was leading, he didn't close it out, and that's really important when you do move up into that class. You need to be able to close it out, and that's what will come with more experience.
Now, the CDA Yamaha Monster Energy boys, of course, incredible 1-2, but Luke Clout, dominating form, winning both motos.
He was our other pick, wasn't he? Luke Clout was always going to be strong going in there. Maybe not as strong as, on a track like this. In the sand, we thought maybe not quite as strong, but he's been putting the homework in. He was consistent all day, and he ends up coming out on top exactly where he needs to be.
Aaron Tanti, we knew he'd be good. We thought he'd be up there in the top 3, hopefully, but he got second. Incredible job.
Yeah, fantastic on the bike, the debut for the team anyway. He was a bit of an expected surprise, I guess you could say. We knew he'd do well. We weren't quite sure where he was going to sit. But yeah, what a ride by him, really boosting that confidence. And I think going further into this championship, he's going to be someone to really look out for.
And of course, the MX1 Championship points after round 1 at Wonthaggi, Danny.
Oh man, can't do any better than that. Clean sweep, 50 points there for Luke Clout, 42 back to our second place at Tansy. It's still very tight, early days, plenty of points to be made up here.
Now the track here at Gun Valley, Mackay, wow, everyone's been talking about it. Phenomenal, so picturesque. The surface here and the elevation, it's very exciting.
It is. This is real motocross, you know. I turned up here and I just got so excited seeing it. So really stoked to see how it is. We've had heaps of rain come down, but it hasn't affected the track. And you got a chance to go out and have a look at it yesterday. Let's go and see what it's all about.
Welcome to our track preview, brought to you by Michelin tyres. Now, at any track you go to, the start's exceptionally important. But here at Gun Valley, if we have a look behind me, we can see this whole section is covered by grass. Slight bit of elevation as it turns into a right-hander that's quite possibly the fastest first turn on our whole circuit. If you keep looking, as it comes up and over the crest and down into turn 2, this could quite possibly be one of the best passing opportunities on the whole track. Now, here in turn 2 is where the action really starts. If you have a look over my shoulder, you can see as the riders come out of the start, they'll come over the crest of this hill and down into what looks like very smooth at the moment. Will develop some huge braking bumps. Riders will be up around 4th gear, but this is their last chance to make some very cool passing moves before riders settle into their positions and start copping some serious roost. On any given outdoor motocross track, we can normally expect about 3, maybe 4 decent-sized jumps. But here, deep in the sugarcane fields of Gun Valley, we've got not only the most amount of jumps, but some of the biggest jumps I've ever seen on any outdoor track. And none more so than this one right here, measuring 30 metres from tip to tip. But not only the distance, if you have a look, we can see it turns around to the left, and very, very technical. If the riders don't turn, they're going to make their way off the track and have to come back on again. Going to develop lots of bumps, very tricky part of the circuit. Now right here where I'm standing is the 7-metre wide patch where riders will be hoping to stick their lander after hitting this huge 30-metre Buddha. Well, that's our track preview here at Gun Valley with thanks to Michelin tyres. Well, Danny Ham, I tell you what, this track is starting to shape up now. It's starting to get some lines, some bumps, some ruts. We've had a little bit of rain overnight. It's all happening here at Gun Valley.
Oh man, it is really forming up perfectly at the moment. You can see right there just how beautiful this ground is. We did a walk this morning after we arrived here, after all of that rain last night.
and we thought maybe it was going to develop a little bit of mud out on the track, but you can see right there, there's some laying water as well. They haven't watered the track. It's just what was there from earlier on in today, and you can see it really is coming up a treat at the moment, and I think it's only going to get better as the day goes on.
Absolutely. Now, out at the moment, we've got the Maxxis MX3 class non-qualifiers. So, unfortunately, the riders that didn't make their way into the final 40, we had two separate classes of qualifiers, 20 riders in each, and the top 40 made their way through. Now, this particular race here, we've got Angus Pearce up at the head of the pack. He's laying down some good lap times, but he finds himself in a nice little battle going on screen here at the moment.
This is perfect to see. Yes, it's the non-qualifier. It's almost a bit of a harsh name, isn't it? These guys just show how fast they are. You really need to be at this point if you want to get to the next round and try and qualify. Great to see such a big turnout of this class trying to get into the main show for the day, and they're not slowing down at all either. Look at it, these guys battling it out through the bottom part of this circuit. And you can just see there just how much water was laying around down at the bottom. Big up over the jump here as we take a quick look at the start replay. This is our first start for the day, and what a hole shot right there from the centre.
Yeah, it's an interesting start straight here into the first turn, completely covered with grass at the moment. The fact that you don't do the start straight time and time again every lap you come through, we're still highly likely going to see a lot of that grass right the way till the very last lap of the day.
On screen there, Connor Adams on the 29 machine. He sits there in second place at the moment. He was the one we saw just a moment having a great battle, or just a moment ago, having a great battle with Caleb Hansen. That last lap there really close between the two, but Angus Pearce, the guy we just saw from that replay, the whole shot, he is cleared out at the moment. I think he has around about a 7-second lead over the rest of the field. 9 as they click over the finish line that time.
Back there in 7th place, Kurt Ninnis, a rider that definitely would expect to be bare minimum making it into the MX3 final races, where we'll see later on in the day, but unfortunately something's happened to him. Whoa, rider off the side of the track as we speak there.
That's that Caleb Hansen who sits there in 3rd place. The goggles are off. We have to run roll-offs here. Take another look at the Honda replay. And yeah, just messing up that turn. Man, that could have got a lot worse.
Yeah. That front wheel was held on by a couple of centimetres. Yeah. If it had dropped off the side, it would have been a nice little knife and tuck over the handlebars. So just wanted to point out, Danny, a track like this with the kind of rain that we've had, and what I guess Todd Waters likes to call loose river sand, vision is key here at Mackay. Now, if you choose as to whether you run tear-offs or roll-offs, either way, whatever our rider number 10 here, Caleb Hansen, has chosen, they have failed him dramatically, and he doesn't have much in the way of vision.
Well, you can actually see that on his bars. If you have a close look, the lens itself is completely covered. And that could be just simply one of those little water puddles that are laying around on the track that has caught him out and completely taken that vision away.
Yeah, you come into turn 1 or even down into turn 2 where there's still a little bit of slop going on, and you know, you've got 39 other riders sort of next to you, and you cop a big roost to the face. You can completely lose all of your vision and quite often find yourself on the deck if you don't clear it quick enough.
The Gun Valley Circuit is a privately owned track, so these guys actually do have to run the roll-off systems. The tear-offs are not allowed. So if you have a failure of those roll-off systems, and I don't care how many pulls you got on those goggles set up, it's just not going to work for you, and you'll be out of vision in no time at all. As we see our leader up and over the jump just before the finish line right there, looking down another lap with another 6 minutes to go.
It really is such a picturesque circuit. We've mentioned it a couple of times, obviously, in the track preview as well, but it's really hard to gauge the elevation on camera here. You need to be here in person and to actually walk up and down these hills to feel the elevation, and gets the calves burning, I believe, Dan.
Yes, it does, Lee. The old calf lock-up is a common thing for the motocross rider. I had it the other night. It's not a nice feeling, but just walking up and down those tabletops, that one that you spoke about in the track preview, man, that is steep. You cannot appreciate it on TV.
Exactly, and when we both had our first little look at the track, you know, I think we commented, wow, it would be so good to ride a few laps around this track, and then we both said until it got a few bumps, so let's just keep that down to 3 or 4 laps. It's already starting to take shape now, a lot of lines to choose from, and I think one of the biggest keys today, if you're going to have a successful day in the office, is being really switched on and finding those new lines before your competitors.
Yeah, line selection will be a big key today. And I did see a few guys, MX2, I did get to see them early on. Is that the 261? It is too. Danielle McDonald right there on the little 125. Now, Danielle has spent the last 2 days here at Mackay riding the off-road championships just next door, and she would have done 1,000 laps before she even got to today. So, an absolute stellar effort just to be out on the track, and she's really ripping it up, looking great on the bike as well.
Fantastic job. And when talking about a stellar effort, let's hand it across to you, Danny Ham, for doing your apprenticeship in TV hosting for the off-roads. Definitely digging those heels in for the last couple of days, and then now stepping across here, of course, for the Penrite ProMX Championship. So busy 3 days for you, Danny.
It has been, but it's been good. Like getting out there, seeing the different disciplines, seeing the crossover between motocross and the off-road. It's been something different, completely different for me, and really exciting to watch. So had a ball doing it, and hope I get that chance again. But for today, into the motocross mindset. You see the 318, is it? 418, Bo Tate. He's on screen having also a good race back there in 4th place.
Now, of course, Maxxis tyres being the proud sponsors of the MX3 category, both the qualifiers and the non-qualifiers that we see at the moment on track as these riders make their way through. Angus Pearce continues to lead in 1st place, Connor Adams back there in 2nd, and Caleb Hansen rounding out the top 3 currently.
Have to be close to the end of this race. I couldn't imagine like 20, 25 minutes at the easily make those mistakes, and that can happen to anyone.
Yeah, that just seemed to me, it looked like he just came in without quite enough momentum coming into the corner. As we see with our rider on screen at the moment, that previous corner is really quite soggy, and we spoke about it in detail before. I thought the track was going to get a lot soggier with the amount of rain that we had yesterday and the day before to come in. I think it was a good move on behalf of the track builders and the operators here at the venue to not rip the track to a bottomless pit. I think it would have soaked in all of that water, and I think we would have seen a lot more difficult conditions. But it's starting to form up some sensational ruts at the moment, but we're starting to not only get sandy, deep parts of the track, we're starting to get some hard stuff. We're starting to get some sharp bumps on the track. I can only imagine what this track's going to look like come the last lap of the day of MX1.
You can just see there in the background, that's exactly where the off-road crossed over the track just there. And the boys were saying how slippery it is once that water did come down. So if we do get more rain today, this part of the track I think is going to fare okay. The bottom part where that off-road come through, that could become very slippery. And it also will depend on how much rain we do get, like you spoke of, Lee, with it being now turned over. If we get too much, it could become like a soup style substance and change the dynamic completely of this dirt.
I honestly feel that the motocross riders and the track that they're presented with here have kind of come up trumps over what the off-roads had to as far as slipperiness, as far as clay. If you look at the amount of clay and slippery surface that the motocross riders have to deal with at this Gun Valley track, it really only is that, shall we say, 50 to 100 metre period where the AORC pulled across. It's right there. Everywhere else, it's this, like I said, loose river sand, and it's got this grit to it, almost like a silty material that loves moisture. The more water, the better.
There is Jack Byrne around the outside, just about across the start line here. So they come back down, and you'll see just in the background there is the start line. Big jump into this left-hand sweep turn. And then they come back to this right and back across where they join the track after turn number 1. Now, there's been a couple of different lines you can see just there. Byrne was on the general line that sweeps to the outside, but puts you very sharp and deep on the inside coming into this one. So it's going to open up a couple of different lines coming into here, and I think this is going to be a key area of the track, this turn number 2, especially off the start.
Yeah, I believe so, Danny. Just a quick comment about the weather. Now, you were here for an extra day to me. You were here on Thursday, and it was basically the last of the extremely hot humid days. It's still humid, and it has been for the last couple of days. However, we haven't really seen the sun for the last 48 hours. Now, riders probably can't really appreciate how easy it is for them at the moment from a weather perspective. If that sun comes out, combined with, what are we, 85% humidity at the moment?
Yep.
It's crazy hard to breathe out there. It feels like, you know, you really have to use those lungs to get that oxygen in.
It's a sharp increase too. When that sun does come out, it is a burning sun, and it changes instantly. So if we do get that sun coming out, they are certainly going to feel it. There's another rider there, I think that is Caleb Hansen, right on the edge of the track.
And that was a beautiful shot from behind from that massive Buddha that we were talking about in the track preview that shows just how much you have to turn going up the takeoff ramp. And it's, yeah, you don't want to be going right off the lander there.
They are on their final lap by the looks of things, so we will be looking to see the checkered flag coming out soon. Oh, there is the last lap board, so it must be just receiving it right now. A leader already across, and this is Tate, I believe, and Hansen coming through, shot just now. And then is that Byrne right on the back of them as well? So this could be a little three-way battle for the minor placings for the podium.
Yeah, and have a look at 36-second gap now from our first back to second place. So talk about a dominant victory here, and no doubt for a rider, Angus Pearce, who with that kind of win would be thinking, damn, how did I not end up in the main MX3 race?
Angus Pearce, the guy we just spoke of on screen, looking sensational out in front. And it doesn't take much to miss out on that spot, as he will he'll go back after this one, build up some more confidence, do the work, and hopefully we'll see him at the next round and be able to get up there.
And that's part of the journey, isn't it, Danny? Like, to make your way to Wonthaggi, all the way down in Victoria, where we expect it to be cold and wet and raining, and then all the way up practically on the complete polar opposite end of the country, up in Mackay, and you end up in the non-qualifiers. Damn it, what did I do wrong? You get in the car, you do your travelling with your family or your mechanic, you try to figure out what you need to do better. It's all part of the journey. We've all been there.
Yep.
And of course, you know, Angus Pearce is about to log himself a victory here in Moto 1 at the MX3 non-qualifiers. He'll be asking himself the same questions.
Absolutely, and you've got to take away some positives out of this. He's having a great ride here as he comes up towards the checkered flag and will take the win. But absolutely, take the positives out of it. Don't just sandbag it in a race like this. Go out, prove to yourself, prove to others that you really do have what it takes to be in that main race, and exactly what he just did there.
And over a 40-second, up to 40.2 seconds over Connor Adams now, who get himself a solid second placing, and then a further 10 seconds back to Caleb Hansen. So not too many battles going on here. The riders tend to have found their feet, they got their lines working on and managed to stretch themselves out a little bit. I will stick with the fact that the kind of roost that you cop on this track here when you're right behind someone is not something that you can sustain for 35 minutes, shall we say. You're going to go through a whole a whole film of your roll-offs. So you need to sometimes, and sort of looking forwards into what we potentially could see in MX2, MX3, MX1 today, sometimes you need to try to mount a challenge and try your best to get past that rider. If it doesn't work, sometimes you need to fall back a little bit and remount another challenge. It can catch the rider unawares, try to set up and almost regroup.
Leighton Day on screen, just about to finish off his moto as well on the Yamaha. We're in the T-Dub riding gear.
Great to see Todd Waters out there, got his own thing going on.
Yep.
You know, it's not very often that you would see that. And he's taken his time. I saw on social media. Exceptionally fast, I believe. See pole position MX1.
See the final times, but certainly watching on track, and
pole
he looks so strong.
Pole position MX1.
Wow.
151.6, and Kyle Webster 151.8.
Wow.
So very, very close up the head of the pack. How about Brett Metcalf with the 152.8, only 1 second off Webster, back there in third.
Okay, I wouldn't have picked that. I didn't get to see a lot of Brett Metcalf, and his bike is so quiet out there. We just didn't get to see him. But what I did see, though, was the fact that we had the Tanties, the Clouts, Ferris, you know, they were all together chasing each other down. Those guys, the fastest ones, they did their own thing at the back of the pack and pulled out those times.
They sure did, and it was good to see Luke Cloud up the head of the pack where we expect him to be, but it was almost like each rider took their turn in trying to keep up with him and seeing where they were, almost expecting as if he was going to, be that pole setter. Let's have a look at the Honda highlights here for our Maxxis MX3 non-qualifiers.
Well, first hit through this first turn, and it was a start from the middle of the track for Angus Pearce that ended up with a whole shot. Small moment there, of course. Caleb Hansen managed to save that, but then they put on this great battle as well. Oh, this is Danielle McDonald launching past over that big jump. So great to see her out there as well, really sticking it to all the boys as well.
So good to see the women out there. Leg off the side, a little bit of leg swag while the goggles are off the other side, just balancing everything out there. Nice little tuck of the front wheel and a bit of a dirt sample, but no problem. Back up and straight back into it.
These drop-offs are just fantastic, aren't they? And they really stretch out the 250s just to get over that tabletop. It's quite a big hit, and those little bikes just don't quite have that power to get over it nice and clean.
Yeah, there's a lot of airtime here at this Gun Valley circuit, and I was about to make mention before during this MX3 non-qualifiers moto, as we see the behind shot again. I love that shot. I was about to mention, though, the tabletop just before the finish line really is a big jump. This one right here, see a lot of riders on the 250s snagging that lander and not quite making it. 450s no problem whatsoever, but a lot of horsepower needed to get up and over that. Let's take a look at the Maxxis Tyres results. MX3 non-qualifiers Moto 1.
Yeah, they're not quite the right names up on the screen, but we did just see all of those ones go out. So the ones that came up a second ago will be going out for the MX3 full-on race just soon.
All right, well, hope you've enjoyed the action so far. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Penrite, a 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only competition can. Penrite, it competes, you win.
Welcome back to Mackay for round 2 of the Penrite ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores. Danny Ham, we just had MX3 non-qualifiers Moto 1 in the books, but we're about to get Post-shootout underway. I can't wait. This is a good time of the day. Look at those riders there.
Oh, class right there, all the way. We will have these guys go out for a set period of time, trying to get the quickest time on the track right now. So how this works, the riders have been out and done qualifying earlier on, practice qualifying. They set down some times to get their positions in the field. However, the top 10 riders have to re-test their times right now and try and qualify the fastest they can. This can be an advantage to some of the riders, or it can be a disadvantage to others. For instance, on the qualifying earlier on, we saw Todd Waters got the quickest time of a 1:51.698. The track has changed immensely since then. If he goes and sets the 10th fastest time, then he will essentially lose 10 positions on the gate pick when we go back out there to start Moto number 1. So really important that these guys can still set down some quick times. And this is also a really good hit out for these guys because the track has changed so much.
Yeah, so much confidence involved with this. A little bit of cash up for grabs as well. But important to remember, 8 minutes on the clock, and you have got the total of that 8 minutes to log your fastest time. Now, a track like this, Danny, I would say very similar in effect to Wonthaggi, where I believe the track will continue to deteriorate rather than develop some nice lines where we may see faster times near the end of the session. I think just like Wonthaggi, fastest time was set on lap 2.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it's only going to get worse as the time goes on. Again, these guys haven't seen the changes that have been out there, so I don't expect to see the fastest time on the first lap. But yeah, lap number 2, lap number 3 maybe, but 8 minutes on a lap time of 1:51, they've got 4 chances. That's it. They can't sandbag out there. They've got to get into it straight away and make these times happen instantly.
Well, ever since we've turned up here at Gun Valley Mackay, it seems like Matt Moss has got the bit between his teeth and out to try to prove something. And coming off the back of not the best round 1, shall we say, at Wonthaggi, he qualified 7th fastest in qualifying for MX1 with a time of 1:53. So he's only 2 seconds off the pace of Todd Waters and Kyle Webster. But he's gone out like a rocket at the start of this practice session right here at the start of the Post-shootout. Oh, a nice little boot there from Luke Clout, and that's not what the CDA Yamaha Monster Energy rider would have been hoping for.
If that came around like it almost looked like it was going to, that was going to be a humongous crash. Very lucky for him to ride out of that one. Just touching on what you said, Lee, a 1:53 from Moss when he was out there earlier. Already on the very first lap, he's put it in the 1:52s. So you're right, he is here, he means business, but you can see on screen right there that it looks like Clout has already closed in just a little bit. So expect to see a quick lap time from Clout this time around.
Yeah, it looks like Clout's on a heater, but the man of the moment, the one who so many people are talking about, Aaron Tanti, who it's not his rookie year in 450, but we still think of him as a rookie. We don't expect him to have the kind of head on his shoulders that he has shown over the last few months, with a win at the MX Skins event, coming out second behind his teammate at round 1 here, and currently sits fastest at the moment in the pole shootout with a 1:52.6. Now, it's pretty close to the head of the pack, and no doubt I think things may change around a little bit. But just remember, the track is going to deteriorate every single lap as we keep our eyes peeled on Luke Clout, who has reeled in Matt Moss. Mossy doing the right thing, moving out of the way and not messing with Luke Clout's time here, which is such a good thing to do.
So here's the mindset from Aaron Tanti. He threw down one quick one. He is now doing a lap to look at the track, find some new lines. This lap, he will throw it down again. He is about to come up over this big jump and start to move into it. But we see there Lee Hogan, that's the quickest on track at the moment, has moved to Todd Waters.
Yes, and this is interesting to see as we say that. We knew he was on a heater. Luke Clout has gone to the top with a 1:51, the only one in pole shootout at the moment to sneak up into the 1:51s with a 1:51.7. Now, interesting to note that Todd Waters' fastest time in qualifying was a 1:51.698. Don't get much closer than that.
No, it is super close at the moment. It's good to see that the riders are separated by very, very little. It's going to only throw down some great racing later on as well.
Well, so Danny, I've got something, just as I say, it comes up on screen at the moment. Kyle Webster hasn't put down a fast lap yet, and I was starting to wonder what's going on. We're getting to the latter stages. We only have 3 minutes 15, and I'm wondering why he hadn't gone out and put a fast lap time down in these very early stages. Boom, straight out with a 151.5. The fastest lap that's been put down today so far.
Well, we have only 3 minutes left in this for the guys.
Talk about leaving it to the last minute.
Well, that's the thing. We're only 8 minutes. You only get 4 laps basically to do it. First lap, you're going to learn the track. Second lap, you might try and put down a quick one. That's your third lap. So that's only the second burner that he's throwing down at the moment. And right now, he's trying to get one more in.
How was the pace of that right-hander? That was phenomenal. Let's try, if we can, to keep the cameras on Kyle Webster, because this is going to be, unless he makes some kind of a major mistake and dives it a little bit too hard into a corner. He is on a flyer at the moment.
Well, at the first split, we can see that he was 0.15 slower than his last or his quickest time.
Oh, little foot dab there, but a mistake that didn't cost him any time.
Yeah, we're about to go across the second split now, so we're going to have an idea. 0.5 under his time. So we are on a quick one again. We expect to see if he can cleanly do the rest of this lap. We could see an even quicker time again. Clout still sits there in second. Waters maintaining that third. Tansey's still strong. I haven't seen Ferris throw down one yet either.
So this is poetry in motion. What we're seeing at the moment from Kyle Webster, you only need to move 5-6 centimetres this way or that way to get out of the main line where everyone's going. He is literally sticking those wheels centimetre perfect where they need to go. He is on an absolute flyer.
Man, they are bouncing everywhere. Tansey to the lead now.
Wow.
Gibbs jumps up from 6th into the second place of 151. Let's see if Webster will beat those times on this one. He does.
Into the 50s, a 150.992. Incredible.
Wow, they are really throwing down at the moment. So that's him done. You can see the little fist pump there from Webster as he goes through.
With 1 minute on the clock to go.
You know what? He knows he's done. He's going to just learn the track now.
Let's have a little bit of a look. Let's suss out some lines. Another rider with great potential in the deep sandy stuff. Jaden Rikers, a fellow Western Australian. He's on the Empire Kawasaki. He currently sits down in 8th and hasn't gone anywhere near those type of speeds where we have got right the way down to Todd Waters in 5th place. We've got riders in the 151s. How close? We haven't seen this kind of closeness in times in a very long time in the MX1 class.
Well, I think if the timing looks about right, we should expect to see Luke Clout and Moss getting close to their fastest lap times this time around. The second split just about to come up for Luke Clout. We'll see how he's doing. It's a red time. Could be on a quick one here as well. So
15 seconds left on the clock, Danny.
5 seconds down for Clout. So he's made a mistake on that last lap somewhere. You can see him on screen. Mistake's been made. He has now just got to close this one out. So I don't see anyone else jumping that one.
Certainly looking like being the AMX Superstores pole shootout for Kyle Webster as time has elapsed. And we have Luke Clout on screen at the moment. He's just making his way through the final lap to where he'll receive the checkered flag. Track starting to really form up those deep ruts, braking bumps, acceleration bumps.
Todd Waters, sorry, we're just looking at our times. He's on a flyer, about halfway around the track at the moment. He was 0.08 under the quickest time.
Well, let's see where he ends up at the end of sector 2.
Oh! Told you it was on a flyer.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. If you want to try and get that quickest lap time, you have to put it on the edge.
Yeah, and that was plain and simply a back wheel washout. And we saw round 1, Kyle Webster, all 3 crashes front wheel. That's what a back wheel looks like. So we're going to see a nice little Honda slow-mo replay here, hopefully, as he comes in. Watch the back wheel, steps out. It was one of those braking bumps, just did the slightest little kick to the left.
Yep.
And he lost his sidewall traction. And, of course, as you can see, how loose and wet and sloppy it is as soon as you get out of that line. He would have hit the deck before he even knew what happened.
Well, there is the final result for our pole shootout. Kyle Webster, of course, was the quickest. Tansey stays there in second. Gibbs, Metcalf up there, very strong. Clout all the way back to 5th. Waters was looking good, but he gets there 6th. Matt Moss, Hayden Melroth, Dean Ferris, and Jaden Rikers rounds out the 10th. So what a way to start the day.
Yes, great job for Kyle Webster in the Thor MX1 pole shootout, and also some awesome highlights there thanks to Honda. Matt Moss coming through, started off extremely fast, ended up down in 7th place, but he took off like a bullet. Then it was Luke Clout's turn, looking a little bit skitterish there coming out of that corner.
And that was lap 1, so, you know, they're still trying to learn the track, what's changed as they go around. To throw them times down that quick, that on, I love this part of the track. That is absolute bulldog area of the track, isn't it? There was so much on top of the bike, throwing it to where they need it to be.
And what more can we say about Aaron Tanti, who, once again, back there in second place. He hasn't had too many of the wins, but if you're right there all the time, up on the podium, but second, that's super impressive for the CDA Yamaha Monster Energy rider. Kyle Webster, a 150.9, the only rider to log a 1.
Pits, he should take away some confidence out of that. He looks fast. Cannot wait for this race to get underway.
Yeah, it looks very, very fast, and you would have to think he's extremely warmed up after a couple of full days in the saddle yesterday and the day before. But here is the man of the moment, the factory Honda HRC racing rider of Kyle Webster, number 96 on the bike. No red plate on there. What could have potentially been, if only. All the questions that get asked. He's had 2 weeks to go back and think about what could have been, and in his mind, possibly what should have been, Danny.
Well, he had that lead very comfortably down there at one back in. Surely he wants redemption this weekend. He is going to be coming into this round so hungry, knowing he can win if he just gets it to the checkered flag. He has the speed. The speed,
you know, the bike's clearly working well. Just keep the concentration happening. Okay, it's time to go down to Cam.
Kyle Webster, Honda HRC, 2 from 2. What a great way to start your weekend.
Yeah, that was good. I was really happy with that lap. I took a little bit of a different approach to everyone, I thought. Everyone sort of went for it on that first lap, and I took a lap to have a look and settle in, I think, and I think that may have helped me. I'm not sure. I generally struggle with just getting after it in the first lap. So, no, it was really, really good. I'm happy to start the weekend off that way, and hopefully we can keep it on 2 wheels this time and, hopefully finish the races in this spot.
Fantastic, mate. Congratulations. Best of luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Kyle.
Thanks.
Well, very cool, calm and collected Kyle Webster. He's one of the nicest spoken riders out there in the paddock, that's for sure. Time for another break here. Don't go anywhere.
Carving through twisties. Nailing the perfect landing. Leaning into every corner. Losing yourself on the open road. There's no feeling like it. The howl of the wind in your ears. Feeling every vibration. Every inch of the tarmac. Just ride.
Where you can make memories that will last a lifetime. Where our people help power the nation, our industries feed the world. This is our picture-perfect postcard. It's our place, and we want you to be part of it. Discover Mackay.
Live Motocross 365. Check us out online or call into one of our stores. AMX, proud sponsors of 2022 ProMX.
Welcome back to Mackay to ProMX, brought to you by AMX Superstores. I'm Lee Hogan, joined by Danny Ham, and we just saw a sensational ride from Kyle Webster, taking the win in the pole shootout thanks to Thor. What an amazing ride for him.
Man, I was stoked to see that lap, really throwing it down early, and you're right, so comfortable out on the track, and that's what we're going to need later on. Let's head down to camp.
Jesse Dobson, fastest qualifier for this one. Interesting gate pick. What's the plan here?
There's a little bit of hump on the inside going up the hill, so I'm just trying to get away from that. I got some fast guys next to me, so hopefully we pull through the first turn nice and clean. And then get under racing.
It appears you're all stacked up in a row here, aren't you? The first 5 guys. This is the place to start by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think so. You know, you got a little bit of a downhill run here out of the gate before it starts heading up, so I think that's the main option, yeah.
Great work, boys. Back to you.
Well, it's very calm and collected down there on the start line at the moment. I feel that's what you need to be doing heading into one of these races. I know as a racer myself, I was always much better on the start line if I was calm. There is some riders that do like to hype themselves up, but I found that always threw me off my game when that gate dropped. You know, you're just too edgy, and then, yeah, it made those little mistakes, but certainly calm as he sets himself up around about the middle, as you can see from here. I agree with him. I think that middle area, we haven't seen too many starts, but that middle area, I think, is where we're going to see those starts come from.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Danny. It's different types of personalities. Some people need pumping up, and that'll reflect in their type of music they'll listen to before they go out in the race. Other people need calming down a little. They're a bit too hyped up, and if they don't find a way to control that energy, they will just get that much red mist in the goggles. They'll end up going down in the first turn. You know, they'll go too hard. So it's knowing what your type of personality is and figuring out how to keep your head in the right space and in the game.
Music, calm, my heavy metal, I'm not sure that really balances out, but you know, we'll run with that. Whatever works for you to make you so that you're comfortable on that start line and ready to take that whole shot.
Yeah, Danny, I never liked it when you played S Club 7 in the CDR Yamaha truck. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost time for the drop of the gate here. MX2 Moto 1, and we have some absolute superstars lined up on the gate. These riders, however, got themselves a nice little sight lap, a drop of the gate where they can practice their race starts.
They haven't had much of a chance to do this, so they probably won't all go out together straight off, but this is the first time they've lined up behind the gate. So yeah, perfect opportunity for them to feel the traction, feel how much grip, what kind of drive they're going to get out over the gate, and then of course also, you can see right there, some just sitting back, how that's going to lead into that first turn. And look at that sweeping turn. It's incredible as they go into that. And these guys are first on track today. Brand new, fresh track. So they have not seen the lines that have formed.
The track would have certainly deteriorated quite a bit. Now, Danny, one of the biggest questions on everyone's mind throughout the pits, and with riders talking to, whether it's parents, team managers, mechanics, is figuring out, do we go for a paddle tyre or do we go for a soft tyre? And you have to weigh up straight line traction and trying to get that start versus with the paddle tyre, not so much sideways traction when you get off the gas in the corners and a potential sliding crash like we saw with Todd Waters before. That certainly wasn't caused by a paddle tyre, but that's what we're talking about.
Tyres are going to play a big part in today, and if you can get it right, you're going to do some fast times. Lee, how spectacular is this drone shot that we've got right here as we see just how big this track is, right down to the bottom part of the circuit, swings around here before these. They're about to come up on those really elevated tabletops. They are so, so high. And also, look at the crowd that we've already got in just up on the right-hand side of the screen just there.
It's incredible. It's so good to watch and be able to see the spectacle, how good our sport looks. This track is fantastic. I wish that we had something like this every weekend to go to. It really is beautiful soil. It looks great on camera. It's going to be tough as heck for these riders today.
And the AORC, you can see just how close it was. Such a unique weekend for dirt bike racing here in Mackay to have so much going on in the one location. A fantastic effort by everyone involved to get this whole event running as we head back down to camp.
Interesting note down here, gentlemen. What we're seeing here is a dirt start onto a concrete pad. What these guys are going to do is try not to spin the tyre, but they're going to have to modulate the throttle as they come across this concrete pad and then jump back onto the dirt to get the clean drive out of the gate. This is obviously, we know, a vital part of what's going to happen now. We add the concrete to this. It's just one little bit more of complexity that they're going to have to manage to get this out of the gate.
Fantastic little grab there, and can you believe it? One poor bloke there is going to have to start with his back wheel completely in the mud. How about that?
Yeah, to add to Cam's point there, going across the concrete, it works when it's dry. The guy in the mud, in the water, that is going to go so bad across the concrete as well. So that's why you got to get a good qualifying time. You don't want to be that guy.
You do not want to be that guy. You don't want to be the mechanic getting your boots in there trying to get that out. Now, it's get nervous time for these guys. Back in our day, it might have been time to check your fuel tap and make sure that someone hadn't turned off. Just a nervous little check. Of course, no one had done it.
1,000 times.
These days, no fuel tap, fuel injected, but you know what I'm talking about. It's getting nervous time. You're checking everything twice, and you're trying to get into that headspace because you know a really good start is imperative here on a track like this.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how going into this second turn, I still feel this is going to be key. You see Corey McMahon on screen there. He also did the AORC. There is Reese Budd, number 3. I see a few other riders, the Honda rider there, the 24. Just trying to get that start button down. You can see how hard they have to pull that down. It locks the front wheel down so it keeps the weight more onto the front wheel so that the transfer on the back wheel when they get underway with the acceleration isn't as great, and they can launch out of the gate so much quicker and better and more controlled.
Yeah, the start buttons, aren't they such a great invention that we wish we had back in our day, that's for sure. All right, well, let's take a look at the Pirelli lineup for the MX2 Moto 1. Jesse Dobson, Bailey Malkowitz, both Serco Yamaha riders, Reese Budd, Alex Larwood, Wilson Todd. We've got Ryder Kingsford, Ty Jones, Dylan Wills, Noah Ferguson and Isaac Ferguson.
Blake Fox back there in 11th. Haruki Yokoyama, our international rider, still with us. Jason Costa's back there as well. Jay Walker, Corey McMahon, they're top 20.
Hugh Mackay there. We also see Mackenzie O'Brien, Jackson Hadlow. The names go on. These guys all making their way into Moto 1 of the Pirelli MX2. Wilson Norman,
Dylan Wills right at the bottom. I'm not sure why that one was there. Maybe something happened, not too sure.
I also saw Wilson Todd on that last page as well. I think a little bit of a double up, but these riders are ready to go, and doesn't that look spectacular, looking straight down the barrel to the start gates here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is Moto 1 time for MX2 Pirelli. They are in the starters' hands.
These guys are certainly nervous. You can see the gates are about to drop. Revs come up. The 5-second board is sideways. Who is going to launch out for the first hit of today in the MX2 class?
For him in turn 2. We knew turn 2 was where the action was going to happen, and we have had it left, right and centre.
Wilson Todd does get out to the lead straight away. That Honda flying out of the gate. Brody Connolly there on the 88 machine sits in second place currently as they make their way around the bottom part of the course. Dylan Wills with a good start. Reese Budd also with a good start. We didn't see too much of Reese Budd at the last round, but right now sitting in a good spot as we look at the 7-hole shot award, which of course goes to the 20 machine of Wilson Todd.
A great start from the Honda HRC factory rider, and after coming off double victories at Wonthaggi, he has put himself in a fantastic position to start his day the right way here at Mackay.
One thing I did notice in the practice qualifying with Wilson Todd was from lap 1, he just kept going and going and going. It wasn't just out there to try and set down the fastest time. He wants to go out there and just continually run a race pace, and that's what we saw straight up out of the gate.
Now, something that we noticed, we're looking very closely at the end of each of the motos at Wonthaggi, Wilson Todd looking a bit gassed, like perhaps he was coming off an injury or fitness was down just a little bit. This track is going to get gnarly today. He is already starting to gap these riders a little bit. If we have a bit of a look at his main competition, I would think when you look at Brodie Connolly in second, Reece Budd back in third, Bailey Malkowitz was one of the fastest. He was fastest qualifier until the very last lap of qualifying where his teammate pipped him at the post. Seems to me as if Bailey Malkowitz finds a little bit of form, he could be the one to potentially try to set off afterwards.
Well, he was until that. Sorry, Lee. He looked for a new line to square back up the inside and unfortunately just got it wrong and threw the front wheel out. So he's got a lot of work ahead of him. The guy that was moving, Reece Budd, he has gone into second place at the moment. Not sure who that was on the outside. Oh, is that Ferguson? Possibly?
There's Dylan Wills on screen at the moment on Husqvarna.
It's the 29 of the, Noah Ferguson that was well off the track there.
Yeah, he's using every centimetre of the extremities there, but he is all over the back of Dylan Wills trying to go. We saw at Monthagi the pace that Noah Ferguson has. He led a number of laps, but it seems to be all or nothing for him as the bike steps out sideways. You cannot ever accuse him of not giving 100%. Sometimes need to perhaps tone it down a notch.
There's our leader just through the bottom. There's Reece Budd on the Yamaha that we just picked up there in second place, up and over this big floater jump. Coming across now in third, that is still the 88 machine of Brodie Connolly. This is a great drive.
Riding fantastic back there in second place. Let's take a look at the Honda replay of this start here. And you'll see up the inside already we've had a couple of riders come together. And then we see a crash in turn one.
Great launch out by all of these guys that start coming from the middle. Oh, look, the drive there. But I think the inside is just too tight.
Oh, there we go.
There it
so
is
that
from
was
the inside.
The Yamaha tagged the back wheel of another rider, and it just had a domino effect as that poor unsuspecting victim. And there we see the one that brought down our pole setter, Jesse Dobson, will be devastated. The start of this race, MX2, and we also see another one. I was just about to make comment, has been disastrous for both the Serco Yamaha boys.
And another one that we actually didn't even see. So, wow, what an opening lap for this MX2 class. Pirelli MX2.
They're almost stretched out 3 seconds now, our race leader, Wilson Todd. That turn 2 there at the bottom of the hill starting to get wider and wider as people trying to keep those wheels on some nice smooth ground. Reece Budd, you mentioned earlier on, Danny, didn't have the best of races. He would have left round one at Wonthaggi with his tail between his legs a little bit, knowing he needed more. I know how hard he works. He would have worked so extremely hard to try to get himself up to a point of where not only good lap time speed, but get your starts on point. Put yourself in good track position. All right, we're going to go down to Cam, who's got something for us.
All right, down here in the pits with Factory Gas Racing, Kyle Blunden. Kyle, finally here in racing, you guys got out to a reasonable start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was great to see Dylan up there in third. You know, Blake not such a great start, but he's working his way through. So no, we'll see how we go.
Long motos on these deep tracks, aren't they? At 1.5 minutes a lap, there's plenty of time to make up the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a super fast racetrack. Plenty of passing opportunities, and it's a long race. So yeah, let's settle in and see where we end up.
There we have it, boys.
Well, I think just by what I'm seeing on screen, that Reece Budd is starting to put the work in. It really looks like he's closed in a little bit. Their lap times, the last lap before we go across this one, were almost identical. And yeah, going back on Reece Budd, we expected more out of him in the first one. I know he would have expected a little bit more out of himself in the first race. And there it is. There's the difference. Almost, what's that, 7/10 quicker that last lap.
Yeah, sensational track speed that we're seeing at the moment. Ryder Kingsford.
He got involved in that second turn crash.
Okay, so is that body or is that bike? Okay, looks like we've got bike. So that's, in a sense, that's good news. You never want to see anyone injured, but he's such a hard charger. To finish second to Blake Fox last year in the MX3 category, he's out here trying to do good things. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from Reece Budd. He's sticking to the back of Wilson Todd. He's keeping it under that 3-second mark. And what we saw at Wonthaggi from Larwood was keeping that racetrack pressure on Wilson Todd. That is what can potentially sometimes bring around a mistake. Now, Wilson Todd, at the moment, at round 1 and here at round 2, he doesn't seem to be pushing the envelope too much. He seems to do what he has to do. And it's going to take someone like a Reece Budd or a Larwood or a Malkowitz who don't seem to be in the right position on the track at the moment, to put that kind of track pressure on him to potentially force a mistake, to get him out of his comfort zone.
I'm looking at the time. Interestingly here over that last lap, first to sixth, each shared a 157, 156, 157, 156. For the first six, all identical. So the fastest on track last time around was
just come off surgery on a broken collarbone. He had a plate inserted into his shoulder, into his collarbone, only around 5 or 6 days ago. So just back on the bike. It's not the first time that this has been done. There's many riders, and I can even think back in my day with Cameron Taylor doing the same thing. Broken collarbone, about 5 or 6 days later, Dylan Wills, that was a close one. Ooh. About 5 or 6 days later, Cameron Taylor back on the bike again and racing a Supercross. It's been done many times before. It's not in a joint. It's not going to cause you any dramas other than your pain tolerance, what you can deal with.
Well, the pass now made by Dylan Wills, and again, an excellent ride here by Brodie Connolly, still up there running with these guys. Fantastic effort. But right now we can see these boys have said time to drop the hammer, and exactly what Dylan Wills has done. That battle behind them is still continuing as well between Ferguson and also Larwood. Them two right there on screen. That is absolutely going to
really does need to minimise the damage. He's in damage control here. Finds himself back in 6th place when his arch rival, who won both motos at Wonthaggi, finds himself once again back in 1st place. Now, if you look at the form books, you look at it all on paper, you think, Wilson Todd, he's won this MX2 Championship before. He's just come back from Europe. He done pretty damn good in the MX2 category over in MXGP. He should really stand alone all by himself here. However, on track, it hasn't played out like that. He's had plenty of people be able to sit reasonably close to him, and Reece Budd still sits right on that 3 seconds.
Yeah, he answered the call that last lap around. Wilson Todd with a 156 and a 57 for Reece Budd. So no doubt he knows exactly what he needs to do. And it's a little bit that way at the moment. These guys are sort of switching between that 1 second bracket. If they have a clean lap, it's a good lap. If they have a bad lap, it's about 1 second back after that. As we see, 3rd place actually just set the fastest.
Dylan Wills, a 155 from Dylan Wills. Where did that come from? That is incredible. We need to watch that space because he is not too far. We just have a try to pick up on that. He's a further 3 seconds back.
Yep.
But if he continues that type of lap time, and that's not a fluke. He has dropped he was looking smooth while doing it. What pace from Dylan Wills.
Yeah, well, he's still got a bit of time before he makes it. That was our leader. There is Reece Budd. We hold on to the shot. We'll see exactly. Dylan Wills, wow, he is closing in very fast. He can see these guys now. He can see where they're going. He can figure out what lines are working. He has the advantage at the moment. And look in the background, those three also right on each other. This is great racing.
Well, we still have 15 minutes to go here, and before we started talking about Dylan, I was about to make a comment. We need to bring into consideration the sun is starting to peek through a little bit. The humidity is huge out here at the track, and these riders, they're going to feel it. The track conditions are extremely tough, but the weather conditions are so much tougher than what they had to deal with at round 1.
It looks like Ferguson now has made that pass and moves up that one more spot in front of Connolly. Now it's up to Larwood to try and tag onto the back of them. They cannot let those top 3 riders get too far in front, otherwise they are going to certainly lose. Which direction they went, Ferguson? Wow, the paddle through the turn there.
That was the double foot dab, and about as close as you are ever going to get to dragging your chin along the ground. And how's the commitment tipping it into? Once again, you cannot accuse Noah Ferguson of not giving 110%, but sometimes you've just got to check yourself and back it down a notch. Let's take a look here at the Honda replay. Here comes the first dab, second dab, and wow, he somehow managed to keep it up.
I also want to bring into the picture on the back of these three, one of the fastest guys that were out there, right behind Larwood there on the number 5, Bailey Malkowitz is about to join the party.
Yeah, so he's got himself a 158, and if we scan our eyes back to the top 3, it's good to see that the top 4, Wilson Todd, Reese Budd, Dylan Wills, and Noah Ferguson, are all in the 158s.
There's the pass now made by Larwood. Yep, so he moves back up one more position, doing a great job with the pain that he will be in. There was Wills going out of shot, Ferguson there, and then Larwood. So, yeah, these guys are settling into their routine. Just behind them in screen was Malkowitz. Hopefully he can join this party because it will really, really get hot up the front with him there too.
A good recovery in 7th place from Bailey Malkowitz on the Serco Yamaha to be able to pick himself up and get going. It doesn't matter whether you hurt yourself or you don't, or you bend your bike up or not. Just to pick your bike up and get going again, it saps you of energy, and it's much needed energy that we need here in these conditions.
And we'll continue to monitor our times here. The top 3 riders all matching each other's times, so no one making any ground at the moment. If they start to get a little bit closer, we'll try and jump onto them, but I feel this is still where our battle will be lying, as Larwood is trying to make up that small amount of ground that he did lose from the back there of Ferguson, and it looks like he is starting to catch back up.
And we're just starting to see signs of Serco Yamaha rider Jesse Dobson as he sneaks his way up into the top 15 now, but you couldn't really pick a worse spot to crash than turn 2 when if you're not last, you're probably going to be second last because the other person that went down with you is taking a little bit longer to get going.
Larwood there, just up and over the tabletop, and a deep glimpse. Malkowitz has
all over the back of Noah Ferguson.
Yeah, so there is Reese Budd on screen. Good to see him up there, still maintaining that 2nd place. Just off the pace a little bit to our leader on that last lap, so the leader stretching it out just a little bit more, out to 4.3 seconds.
Tipping it into that Gabrielle turn, that left-hander. What a beautiful corner that is, and the style from Reese Budd.
Yeah, this is more the Reese Budd that we know. Wilson Todd there, the lead rider, absolutely stretching it out at the moment.
He's looking very smooth and in control. He's controlling the race, and he doesn't look to be right on that edge where he's a little bit flustered like we saw at Wonthaggi. This is much more like the Wilson Todd that we expected, and it all started from a fantastic jump out of the gate.
Down to the bottom part, through these Michelin turns. Look how rough that is already
getting. Nasty bump.
This is the 2nd race for the day. There's so much more laps to be put down onto this track.
Such a beautiful flowy track, how launch and the bike just eases its way off to the left-hand side. And did you see on that far inside rut there, Danny, completely different colour sand. It's almost like yellow bricky sand on that far inside.
Yeah, it's a great job by the crew here at this venue to get the track into the condition it is. As we said, so much rain came down yesterday and overnight. One rider just laying it down there. They had to, our leader had to avoid coming through. I'm not sure exactly who that was, but looking comfortable. Look at that, feet up all the way through those deep ruts.
That's the Wilson Todd we know. That kind of style that we remember from his dominant years back here, winning MX2 before heading off to Europe. And if we have a look up at the lap times, look at a little bit more what we expect, and that's the 2nd 158 in a row that we've seen from Wilson Todd, where we have 159 for Reese Budd. Dylan Wills back there with a 2 minutes flat, and once again another 2 minutes flat. So if we look at the leaderboard now and we see the split interval times, that's reflected. It's 5.5 seconds between 1st and 2nd back to Reese Budd, a further 5.5 back to Wilsey, and then of course Ferguson. Larwood looking like he's still putting a bit of pressure on. Noah Ferguson, not the easiest rider to get past on the track. He won't just lay over.
No, not at all. Dylan Wills, we couldn't believe it, a 155. He's now back at a 2-minute lap time. Yep. Has he gassed himself, or do you think he might have maybe something that's not sitting right with him on the bike? Or I mean, he was absolutely flying.
Yeah, so 5 seconds is a major.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to work with a rider and evaluate and put a race plan together, and you're talking sprint pace at the start to when you're absolutely gassed at the very end, you wouldn't want to expect 5 seconds from your fastest to your slowest, let alone within a couple of laps.
Yeah, well, look, on screen there is Ferguson.
Right.
He is right there now, and also Larwood. So,
all closing up.
Do you think there's something wrong, like to lose that much ground so fast?
Well, at 1:55, Danny, is 3 seconds faster than what Wilson Todd did.
Well, sorry, mate. Sorry to jump on you there, but that was a huge moment for Wills, as we see also Larwood up the inside of Ferguson.
Beautiful passing move. Has it stuck? Yes.
What a shot. Yeah, you didn't see it. You're looking at the times right there, Lee, but he was absolutely 90-90 coming down that hill. Very lucky to save that one.
Yeah, so look, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, like I was saying, at 1:55, it's 3 seconds faster than what Wilson Todd's been putting in for the last few laps. So I don't care who you are, to get that kind of time. For Willsy, that must have been on the ragged edge and well out of his comfort zone. I think you're correct. He may have gassed himself and he's blown out a little bit. Sometimes you can recover from that. Other times you're not going to recover until you get back.
Willsy just here, watch his... Yeah, very close to going down.
That was just a very quick, nasty, aggressive side to side.
Great capture there by our drain, and already there is Larwood.
Gritting his teeth. He has got to be in pain, and have a look at this warrior. He's come off a couple of second placings at round one, and he is making his way up the field slowly after not the best start. A little bit of a grab of the front wheel there in that soft stuff, which is so easy to do. Up and over the rise here, and he'll head off for another lap. We've got 6 minutes 53 seconds on the clock here on your Pirelli Moto 1.
Malkowitz on the back of them also, just about to jump into shot right there. He is closed in as well, so not much left in this one. One thing we haven't brought up, such a fast track, could it be a little bit of arm pump? It's a track that could develop some arm pump if you're not on your game, if you're not quite feeling as comfortable. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, it's funny, when you look at a rider closely, and we've got Dylan Wills on screen at the moment, they tend to have a different look to them when they have arm pump. He doesn't look to me to have stiffened up in the arms and arm pump. It looks like it could potentially be just a slight loss of that brutal intensity. Yeah, I'm sure you would have felt it. I've felt it before, when the debilitating feeling that you get of arm pump, where you find motor skills of your throttle, your front brake, your clutch, you tend to have a different look about yourself when you're on the bike.
Up and over the tabletop, that is Wills just there. Now, if he can work it out and run those kind of lap times again, he is certainly going to be a major threat going into this next race as well. He'll go back and regroup and try and work out what he needs to do. But right now, he's in a bit of a survival mode as he tries to latch on the back of Larwood. If you look on the side there at our intervals between our race leader and the rest of the field, of course, it is Wilson Todd leading this one 6.5 seconds back to Bud. Larwood in there in third place, and Larwood on screen just making his way through a couple of these lap riders.
Now, if we analyse this last little section of the race, we've got 5 minutes left on the clock, but we've got a 6-second gap from first back to second, and a 6-second gap from second back to Larwood in third place. This really is crunch time right now. If one of these two guys, whether it's Reece Budd or whether it's Alex Larwood, are going to make a charge, I believe that if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be Larwood trying to make a charge on Budd to try to get another one of those second placings. He's just such a hard charger. He needs to do it now. He needs to try to get up into Reece Budd's head. But Reece has put together a very impressive ride.
So has Ferguson. He is still maintaining that position back there, the back end. A little bit of a kick coming into that turn as he also negotiates his way through these lap riders into this one. There was Malkowitz on the 11, just off to the left of screen. So he hasn't really closed in that much, but nowhere near as much as I thought he was going to.
Yeah, it's something, you know, for the viewers at home watching to try to remember. It's not like these guys will be riding at, let's say, 70 or 80%, and they'll get to this point and go, oh, I've only got 5 minutes to go. Let's really try 100% now. These guys have been giving 110% pretty much from the drop of the gate. So to get to this point of where you've got 4 minutes on the clock to go and you've got someone breathing down your neck and you're going, I somehow just need to dig deep and find something extra to make it through.
and I'll rest when I get back in the pit area and someone can tip some water over my head. These guys are right on that red line, right the way through to the checkered flag.
It is really hard to maintain and control your energy through this whole race when you are running at those levels the entire time. So you're right, it does come down to the guy that manages it the best, and right now it is Wilson Todd that is doing that, stretching that lead out to 7.2 seconds. As we see the 19 machine.
But it's closing, sorry Danny, between second and third. 3.7 seconds between Bud and Larwood. We still have 3 minutes on the clock. It is going equal for the minutes versus the seconds between these two riders. Let's keep tabs on that battle.
Well, 3.7 seconds last lap around. Larwood was
158.
Clear 2 seconds.
Yes.
Faster than Bud. So this will be where the race develops over these next couple of laps, I think. Just see a few of these riders, the front number plate disappeared off this one. I think that might have been...
Well, it's Dylan Wills with a sneaky little look over the shoulder.
Yep, that was Wills. Did we see...
Dylan Wills with Noah
there he
Ferguson
is.
all over the back of him, trying a nice little innovative line there up the inside.
Yep. So Wills is still holding on at the moment to try and maintain that position in fourth place, but certainly got his work cut out for him at the moment as they drop down the bottom. Ferguson doing an exceptional job. Here is our leader.
Danny, 2 minutes 15 on the clock and 2.4 seconds between second and third place. The pattern continues. I think it's only a matter of time before we see a battle between these two Yamaha teammates.
Yeah, there will be no team orders on screen. There it is, second place, perfectly picked up. And there is our third place rider of Larwood. So again, when you're in this position in third place, Lee, and I'm sure you would agree with me here that he would be in a much more comfortable position than Bud is in second. He can see what Bud's doing, figure out the lines that are working, and he doesn't have the pressure that Bud does at the moment, really trying to hold on as they go through their big roller whoops right here.
The thing to remember as the boys come back on screen once again, no matter what happens in these final few laps, as we watch Larwood coming through, putting more and more pressure on his teammate Reece Budd, no matter what happens at the end part of this race for Reece Budd, it's a massive improvement, big step forwards from round one for Reece. Larwood has clearly shown that he is the next best in line at the moment to Wilson Todd, and especially when you consider the busted collarbone. What an impressive, gutsy ride.
Absolutely. Up over the top there. Again, Larwood chips away at that gap. It's down to 1.1. It was 1.5 as they went over the finish line. They're about to just cross over another sector here as well. So we'll see if that changes at all. But it's visual now.
It is battle time.
Hard work for Bud to maintain this position as they drop down to the bottom part. Larwood, again, should use to his advantage as they come into these lap riders here. Three of them up to the inside. What a line.
Beautiful line up the inside, and that'll be enough to make the pass on his teammate. Reece Budd tries to get back, but it's not going to happen. I think he's going to not do anything too out of the ordinary to put his teammate in danger, who clearly is in a fantastic championship points chase, but he's not going to want to just let his teammate check off into the distance. Beautiful little pull of the roller string.
Oh,
that could have been disastrous for Larwood, who rode straight over that lapped rider's bike.
Wow, that was pretty impressive.
That was impressive, evasive manoeuvring. Wow.
I was going to say that I think Bud might have gotten caught a little unaware of how close Larwood was down the bottom. So we take another look at this. Watch that bike go down right in front of Larwood. Oh, man.
And how many times, Danny, have we seen something like that happen? And the bike is like a magnet, and it grabs you and spits you over the handlebars.
He had no option either, because there was a lap rider on the outside. He had to take one of them. Unfortunately for that rider going down, but what a job.
Final lap for Wilson Todd on the factory HRC Honda machine. He's only a couple of corners into the final lap here. He's about to come past the mechanics area, and this will be a nice, enjoyable lap for him with a very handy, almost 7-second gap over a hard-charging Alex Larwood. What an impressive ride. There he is off in the distance. He's come from a long way mine in the middle of the pack.
Great ride, but still sticking in there. See, they're looking for some new lines just as they went through that really long sweeping right-hand turn. They drop down to the bottom. A leader already through. There is second place. Bud hasn't given up though.
No, he hasn't. And once again, you know, not only isn't he going to want to put his teammate in jeopardy, he's also not going to want to get dropped and thrown out the back in the final stages. So to at least stay within reasonably close range by the time he gets to the checkered flag, he's also not going to want to put himself in too much of a risk of having a silly crash and going down, because while he does have a 10-second lead over Dylan Wills, you go and throw it down or have trouble starting the bike, that third place can very easily turn into somewhere out of the top 5.
Well, Wilson Todd is maintaining that lead. He does have a comfortable one, but I tell you what, he cannot back off too much because 2 seconds just got taken out of it in that last interval. So Wilson Todd, as we said, he's maintaining. He's got plenty in reserve at the moment. He makes his way around the last few turns to get this one.
Now, what you have to ask yourself, Danny, is how much is this him controlling the race as he has a look over his shoulder? He's got to get sick of this Yamaha going, you just got a plate put in your shoulder. Will you just leave me alone? The fact remains, though, he's about to log 3 from 3 wins, and the first here of the day for the Pirelli Moto 1 over the checkered flag. And what a sensational win for the factory Honda HRC rider Wilson Todd, and an impressive second place from Alex Larwood back there in second. Third place for Reese Budd, his teammate. Great racing from these top 3 guys.
To the line. Wow. Dylan Wills just getting there. Ferguson did not back off at all. Great to see the sportsmanship between these guys as we see the number 20 red plate maintaining that lead as we complete race. Wow, the third hit out for these guys in the championship.
I think we saw on screen there Haruki Yokoyama, the Japanese rider on the Empire Kawasaki machine out there. He did a not too bad job there, up in 9th place. Anywhere up in the top 10 in this MX2 category, Danny, is a fantastic job. Also, Liam Andrews on the Ride Red Honda in 10th place. So, good job to these guys on what is incredibly tough conditions.
There is Haruki going across, just picking up that position in 10th place. So well fought to maintain that one.
It must have been very tough for these riders. 25 minutes plus a lap the duration when you consider the heat, the humidity. Let's take a quick look at the Pirelli results for the MX2 Moto 1. Wilson Todd from Alex Larwood and Reese Budd, and that is your top 3.
Wilsey maintained 4th, although it was a lot of pressure from Noah Ferguson right behind him. Bailey Malkowitz, one of the fastest guys in qualifying, got there in 6th. Connolly, great ride by him. Caleb Barham also up there. Liam Andrews and also Haruki Yokoyama.
Let's take a look at the Honda highlights, and it was all about Wilson Todd out of the gate, but we had some serious action. How about the wheelie down the straight there from that guy?
Plenty of traction and drive all the way up that start straight. A couple of the guys going down straight away, and then into corner number 2. Also look mid-pack. See them just tipping over each other, nowhere to go. Unfortunately for the 21 machine right there, Ryder Kingsford, he would come into the pits. And it shows how important the first opening laps are, isn't it, Lee?
Yeah, that devastating crash there for Bailey Malkowitz, which climbed his way all the way up to 6th place by the end of the race. However, would have been very interesting to see where he ended up without that crash.
Yeah, I think we'll expect to see big things out of Malkowitz in the next moto. There is the machine of Ryder Kingsford, unfortunately for him, and you can just see how disappointed he is also.
Plenty of action through the mid-stages of the race here. And Dylan Wills, who, I don't know where he pulled it from, but a 1:55 in the middle of the race.
That is the lap right there. He just flicked the switch, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And that double foot dab there that somehow miraculously ended up not going down. But it was all about this guy who, at this stage of the race, was making it look so easy, so smooth.
When he's in control like that, he is very, very smooth. And you know yourself, Lee, when you do feel like that on the day, everything just feels right, doesn't it?
Sorry, Will, did you see? And of course, the mistake that you picked up on, Danny, the side to side, he was very lucky to not get flung down the track. But what I did want to mention, what you don't want to have happen is to get reeled in at the end of the race and have pressure put on you. But the last person you want it to be is your teammate. It's you don't want to get beaten by anyone, but if it's particularly someone, certainly not him. All right, let's go down to Cam.
Pirelli MX2 Moto 1 in the books. Wilson Todd, Honda HRC. 3 from 3, what a great way to start your season.
Yeah, can't complain too much. Got another good start and just stayed out the front and just cruised it home. About halfway through, just totally lost my rear brake, which made it a little bit difficult, but you know, I was still able to keep a gap and hold on to the end.
Sand tracks like this, very similar to what you were racing in Europe, so you're very comfortable on these conditions now, aren't you?
Yeah, I feel comfortable on everything, so you know, it's just another race and we've got a heap more to go, so yeah, get back to work.
Congratulations, look forward to Moto 2.
Cheers.
Well done, brother. Just a thumbs up.
Well, a sensational victory there from Wilson Todd on the factory Honda HRC machine, and that is race number 1 for the MX2 class. Time for a quick break here. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got race 1 of the MX3.
AMX and Penrite have joined forces to give away the ultimate moto workshop valued at $5,000. You can set yourself up with the best from Penrite, NetPro, RHK, Motion Pro and much more. To enter, simply purchase any Penrite product at AMX Superstores, scan the code and you're in the draw to win. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? Rush in now to AMX for your chance to win. AMX Superstores, your one-stop shop for all motorcycle accessories, proudly supporting the 2022 Pro MX Series.
Race to the front with the all-new Maxxis motocross tyre range. The next-gen MX lineup features racing-specific compounds and advanced tread patterns that maximise traction at the highest level of racing. Leading product innovations extend across the entire MX range, offering a premium performance option for all types of terrain and conditions. Put the all-new Maxxis MX range to the test.
Penrite, a 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only
The Penrite ProMX Championship brought to you by AMX Superstores. We just had race 1 of the MX2 and a sensational victory from Wilson Todd on the factory Honda HRC machine. MX3 race 1, sight lap out at the moment. But first, before that, we're about to go down to Cam Williams, who's down on the start line.
We all know how dangerous MX is. We wear helmets, we wear boots, knee braces. What you can't really factor in is this. That is a rock, maybe about 500 grams, we're talking in rock here. That coming off the back of a bike, maybe 30 kilometres an hour, straight to the fingers, that is really going to hurt you.
Mate, that's fantastic grab there, Cam, and we wouldn't really spot that up here from where we're watching. It looks just like this beautiful sand, so fantastic little pickup there.
Yeah, we've seen many a rider over the years actually breaking hands, breaking even a collarbone, going through goggles. Those kind of rocks are something you do not want to see coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's the last thing you need.
When I think of those kind of rocks, Danny, I think of Manjimup over in Western Australia, and I remember once a rock pushing my goggles through and actually getting a black eye and blood dripping down while during the race. So, yeah, that is not what you want and something that you wouldn't expect, especially with some
property to get this thing set ready to go for racing today. So we see the 46 machine just lining himself up there, getting ready to go as well.
Now, Danny, interesting to note, just wanted to quickly point out, after a dominant double victory at round 1, the Honda rider Campbell Williams come out on top in qualifying, only just by a fraction, and I'm talking 0.1 of a second, over one of his arch rivals and young gun Caden Minia, who's still currently only 14 years old and just happened to get third in the championship last year. So great little battle there. Let's take a look at the Maxxis Tyres lineup, MX3 category, Moto 1. Campbell Williams, Jack Mather, Caden Minia, Liam Owens, Connor Towle, who was right up there in qualifying. Yeah, we see down here on the start line at the moment, riders in anticipation for the Maxxis MX3 Moto 1. And nerves are starting to build up in anticipation. And interesting to note, for those of you that haven't been given the lowdown on how this works, we've got two of the oldest junior brackets in there with 14 and 15-year-olds about to turn 16, and of course 16 and 17-year-olds. So good. Keep your eyes peeled on the gate. Let's see who's going to get that all-important hole shot. A big mistake for a KTM rider there. First turn action, and they rocket their way up and down towards turn 2. And we're going to try to pick up and see who we've got here out the head of the pack, and I believe that may be Ryan Alexanderson, and a great start from Caden Minia there in second place. Yes, it is correct. It looks to be Connor Towle in there as well. My lap scoring is telling me Campbell Williams in fourth place. So a lot of the big hitters up at the head of the pack at the moment. This track is just so different to what we saw earlier on. These bumps really starting to develop. Back there in second place, Caden Minia is putting all kinds of pressure on our race leader, Ryan Alexanderson. Let's take a look at the leaderboard here, and of course we've got 19 minutes still on the clock. Caden Minia back there in second place, Connor Towle in third, and Liam Owens in fourth place. Campbell Williams back in 5th place there, trying to make his way up through the pack. But this is a sensational little grab here where we can see so many riders out on the track at the same time. Let's take a look at the Max's Tyres whole shot award, and it goes to Ryan Alexanderson. So a great start from the number 62 rider on that KTM machine. Have a look at the pressure from Caden Minia back there in 2nd place, but he is coming under siege as well from our 3rd place rider. It is all happening at the moment. Connor Towell trying to make a pass and move his way up into 2nd place. Minia would not know what's going on. I'm not quite sure if he can feel that pressure from Towell back there in 3rd. So great little battle from these guys. Beautiful line from Ryan Alexanderson, and the battle continues. Have we seen a pass and a change from 2nd back to 3rd place? Side to side there, and yes, side to, the 2 KTM riders come together, and Caden Minia is relegated back to 3rd place. Connor Towell makes his way up into 2nd, and he's already set his sights up there.
It looks like a fantastic look at that outside, almost over the top there. The 2 riders coming back together. That was great.
That was brilliant from Caden to not go down there. Connor Towell has slotted himself into 2nd place there, and then trying to ease his way up onto the back of Ryan Alexanderson, who's doing a fantastic job.
Sorry, Lee, just wanted to let you do a bit of that calling by yourself there for just a fraction. I know how much you like the sound of your own voice, so what a start to this race, hey? Brilliant to see these kids. They're so young, a lot of these riders, aren't they? You could almost call them kids. There's some older riders out there as well, of course, but fantastic to see this this class really developing the way it is.
Campbell Williams up there into 4th place now, and he's starting to reel his way in onto Caden Minia. He's going to want to try to ease his way up there into the top 3 and try to get up as close to 1st as he can. We still have 16 minutes on the clock. We have a little bit of a look here. Haven't seen too much of Ryan Alexanderson so much at round 1. It was all about Campbell Williams. We had some impressive rides from Caden Minia, who, for anyone that missed round 1, got caught in the gate. Now, as to whether he got caught in the gate or I think he may have had a bike issue, either way, he came from dead last up to 3rd in the 1st moto. So he's making a couple of little mistakes here in these early stages that's allowing Campbell Williams to reel him in and almost get onto the back of the young Western Australian.
Yeah, well, he is now. So at the round 1, we saw Campbell Williams really rode by himself out in front. Except for a couple of little mistakes, he really didn't have too much of a challenge by anyone, really. But now he's got the work ahead of him. He has to put in and he has to prove that he can be up there. And right now, he's closed in that gap tremendously. You see just behind them also a couple of the riders having a great battle. Looks like Owens and Mather also back there.
Both
really tipped it in.
Both great riders.
Oh, these guys right on the edge of the track also. It's finding these new lines as the first 4 riders really starting to close up on each other and become a little group of 4 for this lead. So great race to come over these next couple of laps.
Yeah, well, this battle between 2nd, 3rd and 4th as Campbell Williams continues to close in on Caden Minia. That's where we need to try to keep our eyes on, and that's some sensational racing going on at the moment, and that beautiful drone shot really showing the depth and how picturesque this track is here at Gump Valley. Ryan Alexanderson continues to lead and back to 2nd place. Connor Towell, he started to close in a little bit, but it's managed to stabilise the gap between 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, staying very similar at the moment. Which one of these 4 are going to make a move and make a statement here?
Well, which way do you think it will go? Like, I mean, if you're Campbell Williams, if you feel you've got the pace that you can just pass them whenever you want, would he be smart just to maybe relax for a couple of laps, just take it in and then put on a charge so that these guys can won't have that opportunity again? Or do you just attack it right now and see if you can get straight up to the lead?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it, really? And if you look at previous history over recent years, Campbell's had such exceptional speed, but he's also been prone to have a bit of a silly crash from pushing too hard and not being patient. So you can only hope that in the back of his head, that's what we're seeing from want to be caught into a rhythm. Just as we say that, Campbell seems to be easing a little bit up into the back of Caden Minia now, and he's probably about to launch some kind of an attack.
An outside line at the moment. He is switching it up just a little bit to try and find something new out on the track. And it's exactly what you're going to need to do to make these passes, as we see Alex Anderson really comfortable still out in front, and Towel behind him. This is a much better ride by Towel for this round as well. It's the 66 machine in the blue gear. That was Minia in third. There's our race leader. Up and over this big jump. The little kick at the top of that jump. I saw that a little earlier on. And as we see our leader make this right turn. Up into the left here. Interesting part of the track.
Yeah, he's doing an incredible job at the moment, and he's holding these guys at bay. And if anything, it's Caden Minia that's starting to make a bit of a move now and put a press onto our second place rider, Connor Towell. So fantastic job from all of these guys, and it's the kind of thing that we would expect from the MX3 class, is a little bit of changing of momentum, and who takes their turn to try to reel in or put a little bit of extra energy into it, because it's so easy when you're young, you're not used to these kind of tracks perhaps, it's very easy to make a mistake and have a little bit of a tip over.
12 minutes left in this Maxxis Tyres MX3. And we're going to be getting to that point where some answers have got to be made, or some questions have got to be answered, I should say. That was all the wrong way around. You need to figure out if it's time to drop the hammer. And right now, Alex Anderson is looking pretty good. All of the riders matching their lap times the last time around, 2:02s for the top, what is that, top 5 riders, all on the same lap time. So they've settled into the groove at the moment. I think it's time, and already, there we go, Williams has moved himself up into third place. So the move has started for Campbell Williams. He's
very
got a couple
calculated
more.
race so far.
Yep.
Yeah, very calculated. Trying to set up a pass here on Connor Towell. Now, these two have had some amazing battles over the years, and I remember even in state titles watching these two. So, liking what I'm seeing from Campbell Williams at the moment. However, you can be certain that Caden Minia is not going to lay down just like that. Now, a little bit of research we've done, Danny, and something that's super important and very interesting with this particular MX3.
Oh, sorry, he's down. Goes our second place rider. Just a small tuck of the front wheel. So Williams has gifted that one, and Minia is trying to take advantage of it. Also, up the inside, a massive jump, and he has moved himself back up that one position.
Wow, and this is what we like to see, the battles that you expect to see from the MX3 class. I was just about to point out something that a bit of research leading into this that we didn't have from round one, and something that I'm always trying to find out is the date of birth, the age of these riders, because of the 4 separate age brackets. Either you're the younger or older of the juniors, or you're the 16 or 17-year-old of the seniors. Now, our race leader at the moment, he was born on the 30th of December 2004. As we just see a little bit of a mistake there from Connor Towell, losing that front wheel and going down, and of course a costly mistake there, losing second place in the race. So our race leader, born in 2004, which puts him in the oldest of the categories to be able to race this particular class. And then of course we've got Caden Minia, who's the 3rd of May 2007. So he hasn't even turned 15 years old yet.
Yeah, interesting to see the age difference between these, and it's a massive amount of experience over the few years as well. So great to see this this class really evolve, and it's showing the strength of these riders. Now, what I want to bring up with you, Lee, is the fact that we did see that pass just get made again by Minia. You mentioned it before that, he's not giving it up. As we see 2 riders there also coming together, having a bit of a lay down on the track. Has Minia now broken Williams?
Well, I think that perhaps what's happened here is Campbell's trying to reevaluate, reassess, figure out what's going on, and try to not be too deflated, which can happen. And something that I pointed out, for such an old head on young shoulders with Caden Minia, when he got relegated a position in the early stages of the race, and I said, look, don't count him out, because he will bounce back. He's the kind of rider that he'll drop back and look like he's lost a bit of form, but he will find it again. And that's what we've seen with him here. As to whether Campbell can bounce back and react to what Caden Minia has done, That's what we have to try to see. Okay, Cam's got something for us. Let's head down.
We know how many passing opportunities there are in this spectacular Gun Valley circuit, and we're standing in one here now. You can see there's about 4 or 5 lines lining up. You go outside, you run the line and you carry the speed, or you go inside and you run your protective line. What that's going to do, though, is going to set you up on the outside for the next corner and potentially let the next guy to the inside of that. We're seeing quite a lot of passing opportunities, a lot of riders clashing in this one spot here. And I have to say, guys, it looks like Nana's chocolate scone mix down here. It's absolutely perfect. Conditions here right now are amazing.
Spectacular, and of course Cam down in one of the tightest parts of the track where we've got a good 4 or 5 corners, super tight switchbacks, and traditionally for me I was thinking not a kind of a part of the track where you would make too many passes. I was thinking that these faster, high-speed sections you'd see a lot of passes, but believe it or not, we're seeing passes everywhere.
Yeah, this track's opened up a lot of opportunities everywhere for these passes to be made, so fantastic layout, as we've said numerous times in this one. As we see, there is Mini on the 66, still sitting back there. Williams has regrouped, so maybe just one lap there just to figure out what's going on. And now that he's all sorted out, it looks like he's ready to go as well.
Yeah, it's great to see, and the gap between first and second place right on 2 seconds at the moment, and equal at 1.8 back from second to third place. So we see just under 7 minutes on the clock still to go, so plenty of time to do something here.
Lap times last time around saw Minia, the faster of the two, over Alexanderson. He was a clear 1.2 seconds faster, and he's only got 1.9 to make up. So if he can maintain this kind of speed, you can see him right there in front of him. This race is far from done, Lee Hogan.
It's been such an impressive ride from Ryan Alexanderson. It's someone we didn't really expect to see him up there. However, he has made his presence felt without a doubt. The push that we're seeing now from Campbell Williams, to me, seems like a step in the right direction, and a more mature Campbell Williams than what we've seen in the past, which would have seen him trying to do this earlier in the race, and perhaps a mistake. Because what he needs to realise is a 1-1-3 as we see him go off the track. A little bit of a mistake there. He is pushing so hard. He's starting to ease his way back up onto Caden now.
The last lap times cement exactly what you just said, Lee Hogan. He got a 2:02.8 over a 2:03.3, so half a second faster for Campbell Williams over Minia that last lap around, and both of them were faster than our lead rider, so they are all closing up on each other with 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it simply is a case of trying to remain mistake-free, but trying to keep that on-track pressure if you can. Okay, let's go back down to camp.
We see a lot of motor races around the country, the main straight, and this is it here in Mackay. Let me tell you, these guys are coming over this ski jump here, maybe in about third gear. They're getting fourth and just grabbing fifth as they get towards the net. Maybe about 65 or 70 kilometres an hour, and they've got to go hard right, down 3 gears and then back down the hill. This is one of the most high-speed sections you're ever going to see on an MX track anywhere in this country.
I was down there earlier, Lee, just watching them come past, and there's such a buzz to see how fast they are just blasting past you there. And he's right, they were running out of gears by the end. So those speeds, I think he was off a little bit in the speeds. I reckon it might have been a bit higher than that. But yeah, man, that was really impressive to see. We don't see those fast ski jumps anymore, so great to see it at this circuit.
And the sound and the feel of those factory bikes as they come past, it just puts a smile on your face, doesn't it?
Our race leader coming through this right-hand turn, the switchback corners, Minia right there in shot, as to Campbell Williams. All three riders can see each other. Who will be able to maintain this speed, the pressure over these closing parts of this moto? Whoever can best deal with that pressure, I feel, is going to come out on top. But Williams looks like he's putting on a charge right now.
He is charging. Who will break first? 4 minutes left on the clock, plus a lap. So still quite a little bit of time. But actually getting past someone. So we're not talking a lap rider here. We're talking 3 riders that, if you have a look, their last 5-6 laps, they're all very, very similar. It's not as easy as just going, okay, I'm going to pass this person on the next corner. So getting on the back of someone like a Caden Minia or Caden reeling in a Ryan Alexanderson and making the pass, you need to be creative. You need to not cop too much risk. Your vision may be getting a little bit tainted at the end of this race. So it's simply a case of, I think we really need to keep the concentration going on and try to minimise those mistakes, put yourself in a good position.
Already these bumps forming up down the fastest part of the track, and you can see them right there, those braking bumps, and a beautiful line by Alex Anderson there, right up the inside. Minia right onto the back wheel now.
It's Minia's turn to You could see that as he come up and over the jump. The front wheel was never going to stay in the berm there. It was going over the top now. And this is... So right here is what I'm talking about, where we need to minimise the damage done here. A little crash can turn from a certain third place into, I believe, was that Jack Mather that just came past?
Yeah, to the Honda replay.
Now let's follow the replay here. Watch where the front wheel lands over the back of the berm almost. Caden Minia through, and here comes Campbell Williams.
Oh, the back end got a bit of a kick, didn't it? It didn't settle down into the berm.
Wasn't able to tip that front wheel into keeping it into that nice part of the berm.
Yeah, unfortunate for Williams, and I'm sure he'll go back. He'll think about it, regroup before he comes out for the next one. He's shown his speed. We know he's quick. He just needs to, well, that's 3 from 3 races now that he's had these little tip overs.
Yeah, little tip overs, but those first 2 races at Wonthaggi ended up in wins. This one's going to end up in a 4th at best. But it is still not over at the head of the pack, as we have 2 minutes left on the clock and a very hard charging Caden Minia, who is not done in 2nd place. He wants to log his first win.
Far from it, and that lap rider right there started to help him out, but as they went through that tight part of the track, he did get caught up just a fraction. See how deep that rut was going across that jump. Those forks absolutely grabbing the top of it as they swing past the start line again. Still 1 second gap between them, so it's not much. It's still a bit of a gap, and I'd say that Anderson will have a run up the hill, have a listen to how these bikes come past.
Gaps getting ever closer as they really lead it through those braking bumps now, coming to the blue to Yamaha left turn.
Absolutely screaming.
Beautiful shot there of these riders, and it is on. 1 minute left on the clock, and the battle is on between Ryan Alexanderson and Caden Minia back there in 2nd place. Quick little reach up to clear his vision with a pull of the roll-offs, and he will set off after our current race leader, number 62, as they make their way out towards this awesome part of the track that runs parallel to the AORC course we can see there.
Yeah, big kick by Minia going into that rolling loop that he came through in that corner, just adding to the goggle roll-off thing there. Oh, a small mistake by Alexanderson.
And a different line choice here, trying completely different. He'll slingshot him up and around. Oh, bit of a mistake there.
To add to that, the roll-off thing there, when you're coming in on a charge like that, Lee, you basically just have to grit and deal with the dirty goggles. You know, you're putting on the charge, you're really trying hard, and a lot of the time you'll see...
I lapped the rider.
Yeah, a lot of the time you'll see the rider put on that charge and then
Anderson just received the last lap board here, but we're seeing some very interesting situations with the lap riders who are just unaware that they're about to be put a lap down. I don't want to seem too tough on them, but you know, we see some riders that are doing the right thing. I believe that may have been Charlie Cannon's younger brother. There just had a sneaky look over his shoulder, doing the perfect thing. When you're getting put a lap down, the good riders tend to know when they're about to be put a lap down. The others tend to not, as we see Caden Minia here mounting a challenge down into turn 2. Let's watch them as they come through. Is there a potential over and under move here? Have a look at the hard charge. Final lap action here for the Maxxis Tyres Moto 1 MX3 here. Caden Minia trying for an outside line. We haven't seen this done before. There's no real line to go to there, unfortunately, for Minia, but he is trying everything that he can.
Well, he is certainly using some different lines. We saw just before those big jumps after this tabletop. Minia, like that very inside line, has grabbed a couple of places from there, but You would think Alexanderson knows that line and will be covering it. He's going to put in hard if he wants to make this pass stick.
Now, Caden Minia's got himself a terrific line down the bottom here before it sweeps right. He goes around the outside and he'll gain a little bit of momentum as they come up and over this rise here. Let's see if he can nail it. A little bit of a mistake, but he's still going to be right on the back of Alexanderson. And this massive booter of a jump is going to lead the two riders into this very tight switchback section where we just saw Cam Williams before talk us through. Has he missed the last opportunity to make a pass?
He's very close up here, and Alexanderson has done everything right, especially through this part, maintains and controls that lead. He hasn't made any mistakes as they work their way through this part. Minia so close, but it's not going to be enough.
Not going to be enough. Checkered flag, so difficult to make a pass there in those switchback corners. What a fantastic race, and a wire-to-wire win from Ryan Alexanderson, number 62. And a very hard charging and impressive ride in second place for Caden Minia.
Great ride by both of these guys. Good to see. They'll take a lot of confidence out of that into their next race. Mather comes through in third place on the 43 machine. As you see the rest of the riders coming around also to complete their race. What a way to start the day for the MX3 class.
Unfortunately for Connor Towell, all the way back in 15th place after being right up there with the race leaders and in second place when he had that washout of the front wheel. Unfortunately for Connor Towell, he has time and time again shown that he has the speed to run up at the head of the pack. A few too many little crushes that eventuate into tip overs.
Just look at that jump just there and the amount of ruts that have already formed into that, and we are only a couple of races into the day. The rest of the track will be getting torn apart as our riders make their way back to the pits now and try to recover after a long race. As we get into the Maxxis Tyre MX3 result, it was, of course, Alexanderson that took the win in this one. Caden Minia in second. Jack Mather with a great ride there in third. Campbell Williams, Seth Birchall, who we didn't get to mention, also of their top five. Jet Alsop, and the rest of the crew come through as well.
Yeah, great job from Miles Gilmore back there in 7th place. There we see Hickson McGuinness in 13th, Liam Jackson in 14th, Connor Towell in 15th place, and Joel Campbell in 16th. Ty Keane there on the Ride Red machine, Deegan Mancinelli, and we've got Hunter Collins, great rider out of the Newcastle region, there in 29th place. And Jake Duffy there, 29th, and Blake Walden in 30th.
Plenty of work ahead of these guys if they want to run up the front, but they'll all go back to the pits, talk to their mechanics, make the changes if they need to, as we take a quick look at the Honda highlights. And a great start straight out off the gate drop. It's very important that we get launched out of there nice and cleanly. Again, some riders coming together, thankfully no one going down that time.
Super high speed into that first turn. Nice little slow-mo action here thanks to the Honda highlights. It looks to be...
As our riders all banked up through this first part of the track, and track position is so important. Outside line there.
That was the moment where Connor Towell and Caden Minia very evasive. That could have easily been a crash from Minia.
Plenty of action all the way through this field as we see some of the Yamaha riders launching across there, battling it out for their positions on track. 25 machine going down, wettest part of the track, and there was the tuck of that front wheel by Towell, unfortunately going down.
Yeah, and here was the battle between, of course, Campbell Williams when he'd reeled in Caden Minia, and they had a nice little battle there for a little while, and it was Minia who responded, and a little off-track excursion there for Campbell Williams, but this was the one that cost him a front wheel, and then trying to pick that bike back up and dropped her back again, and unfortunately would drop him close to half a minute behind the race leaders when the checkered flag came out. But what a fantastic end to the race between these two young warriors. One of them in the youngest of these age brackets, and the other quite a few years older and about to age out in this particular one. So a fantastic ride, and it come right the way down to the last lap. I like the creative line there from Caden Minia. Unfortunately, there was no line for him to tip it into.
No one has been there to have a go. So if that line develops, absolutely. I think that's going to work a little bit later on as an alternative line. Let's head down to Cam Williams.
Ryan Alexanderson, Maxxis MX3, man, that was a battle and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great race with Caden. Props to him, held up a good fight, but I got a good start, whole shot it, and that's all I really needed. And I just tried to ride a clean race, but yeah, no, I felt really good.
The track's forming up quite nicely, isn't it? These second motos are going to be heaps of fun for you guys out there.
Yeah, it'll be a lot better once it forms up a bit more. It's a little bit tricky to pass, but luckily I didn't need to make many passes. But no, it's really good once the track forms up, even better racing.
Congratulations, look forward to Moto 2.
Thanks, mate, appreciate it.
Well, sensational win there from Ryan Alexanderson, getting himself up on the top of the podium there for the Maxxis MX3 Moto 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this first part of the day on the live stream. We have got plenty more action. Make sure you tune in at 12:30 on Stan, on SBS, and all of your platforms. We have got so much action for you this afternoon.